All right, what's up, folks? Welcome to Foreign and Domestic. It is good to be here. Good to see people popping in the side chat. With that being said, Alan, would you please start us off right, sir?
I will do what I can.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
sir. Thank you, sir. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. I'm a little tired, but I've been doing pretty good. Um, just standard fare, um, uh, working. But I did spend a couple hours in front of the blue presses today, so I got some stock created.
Nice. What were you running? 10 mil?
A little bit of 10 and a little bit of 9.
There you go. Good deal. Jamie, what's happening, brother?
Oh man, life. Thanks for having me. Supper ain't ready yet, so I'll be in and out. Thanks for letting me hang out with you guys tonight. I appreciate you.
Always appreciate you, man. Bama Dad, what's happening?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just fiddling around, getting ready to go shoot the new rifle, and making a few bullets. That's about it.
Nice. Good deal, man. Good deal. I know you're excited about that rifle, so that's cool.
Well, it's finally it's fun. It's taken forever, but yeah, I'm ready to send some projectiles downrange.
Heck yeah, man. It's awesome. Rob, what's going on with you, man?
Not much, just surviving, dodging landmines, and finished dinner early. So here now.
Dodging landmines, the ones up from the four-legged kind.
Well, two-legged, four-wheeled, yeah, a few different kinds, I guess. Throughout your day to day.
Gotcha. So you've had a lot of interesting stuff going on lately here in the news. A lot of various plants exploding, and a lot of mass shootings, if you want to call them that. Seems like we have one every other week now. They're really ramping up.
Well, they keep trying to sidetrack that the government's shut down, and all those people that are theoretically shouldn't be getting paid are still getting paid, and the people that should be getting paid aren't getting paid.
Yep, pretty much. I did see they're cutting a lot of people from the CDC, which is good. That's a good start. But how about we start with all the people in Congress and the Senate not doing their fucking job? That'd be better. That would be much
Yeah,
better.
precisely my point. I'm sorry, folks, but if you can't figure out how to get your jobs done, you don't need to be getting paid. You need to figure out how to get your job done.
Right. If anyone's pay should be frozen, it should be theirs. Figure it out, get it open, get it going. Pay
We've
the
got
people that are actually protecting the country and not the ones that are arguing left, right, tit for tat about this and that.
yeah, flipping Chuck Schumer and his quad of band of idiots. The the AOC campaign of just let the bitch talk does keep working. Yet I still don't understand how millions of civilian contractors and military personnel that are still out there doing their jobs aren't getting paid, but these fluffs that are just like throwing little tantrum tissy fits over bullshit are still getting a paycheck. It's appalling to me.
Well, and what's frustrating to me is that they're doing it on camera on purpose. So they're going out in the halls and confronting each other in the halls on purpose and doing it on camera. One big fucking show.
Yeah, I like what Dave says. Term limits would help a lot on this.
It would. They've been trying to get that for the longest time, and maybe we'll get it, but it's going to be a tough fight to get that through.
Yeah.
No one's going to vote themselves out of office.
No, nobody wants to give up those millions that they're making off of the defense. Cheating stock exchange and their investments in the defense contracting. So they're the same people that changed what war really meant.
One of the most interesting ones that I'm watching right now that I keep seeing ads for and all that is Winston Earl Sears and Abigail Spanberger, where they have what her freaking name is. She's trying to make herself out to be this great fucking patriot, this, that, the other. Look at my kids. They're so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. They're all in public school. And this bitch wants to fucking let other fucking dudes go in a woman's bathroom. Yeah. You're all about protecting the kids there, lady.
Who is that?
That's they're going for. She's trying to be the governor of Virginia.
I don't guess I've paid any attention to that one.
But she was law enforcement. She was I think she was DEA, something like that. And now she's senator or whatever, and now she's trying to be the governor. And dude, she's horrible.
I have absolutely no idea why trans or gender dysphoria is the only thing that is let's just feed into it and allow them to do this. That's like telling somebody that's extremely depressed, no, the best way to cure that, the best way to do anything at all about that is just stay in bed. Don't do anything. Just mull over every part of your depression and live in that soup. That's like telling a psychotic person that they need to be quiet and listen to the voices more. Why on God's green earth is there any kind of fathom of it's gender dysmorphia? You don't just feed into it and then
and the biggest problem I got with it is allowing them in the different bathrooms. Like, what the hell? Especially schools and stuff like that. That's that's just encouraging it. What the fuck are you doing? That's the definition of insanity.
I'm glad in our state. I live in a state that doesn't do that. So.
Well, it was bad enough being a girl dad. Okay. I had a daughter. I had a girl dad. I was a girl dad. But what do you do when you're, trying to raise a little girl and you're a dad? Is it acceptable for the dad to be like, hey, girl dad coming in, or anybody in here, and then you just like lock the place down while your daughter's doing their business? What's actually acceptable? What's correct?
Right.
Have a woman you trust go in and look around, and then she says it's clear, just stand at the door.
But is she a woman though? How do you know? This is the problem.
I've
This
yet
is the problem today, man.
to see one that I couldn't tell was a woman.
Well, you can usually tell, but at the same time, it's just ridiculous that, the fact that they're putting non-binary on federal forums and all kinds of stupid ass bullshit and allowing you to say you're this or that.
I mean, I can't help but laugh, and it's not funny, but this was not an issue 10 years ago.
Oh no, it's all about weakening the entire system and weakening those that are coming up, because they know the ones that are strong and see what's going on would fight back, but these ones are being indoctrinated so bad that they'll never fight back.
And Democrats, the only reason they're bellying up to them is because it gets them more votes. We take care of the homosexuals and the transgenders, and we've got their votes for life.
Oh, and they're encouraging it more than anybody, because they need the weak.
Yeah, that's been their modus operandi from years past.
Yeah.
That's the way they're going to
The
work.
homosexual lesbian community absolutely hates that transgenders are being lumped into their LGBTQ alphabet. They absolutely despise it.
Let's
that's
face it,
they know exactly what they are, and they're not trying to be something that they aren't. They believe that they feel like they know exactly what they are, and it's even being claimed, like from the highest mountain, that the LGBTQ community absolutely hates that the T is being added to that lump.
So you're saying they don't have like delusional disorder or anything like that? They're just, gay or whatever it is, right?
Yep. See, there's our sister Tack out there. She agrees 100%.
Well, I hate it for them, but the truth of the matter is there such thing as a transgender that's not gay?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying. I like the idea that people can admit they're not something they're not. Like they're not something they're pretending to be. Like, because I think that whole aspect is crazy. That's like saying I'm Batman or something, and everybody's got to represent as Batman. You know what I mean? It's just, that's crazy. That's always been crazy. Like something's wrong with you. That's all I'm saying. And it's technically considered a delusion disorder. So, there's a difference. Like Alan was saying, I think there's a difference. Between crazy and what we may call strange.
Yeah, there's a huge difference, and like Patriot Paul said out there, Obama's the one that reversed that and made it where it's not classed as a mental illness anymore. And Obama did a lot of shit in his time, and I knew he was going to be bad for the country. I mean, number one, one of the first things he did when he got in office was say it's okay to lie to people, and put that in law. Right off the rip, people should be screaming from the rooftops, going, "Hey, what the fuck?" But no, here we are. Not only they weren't lying prior, he just made it legal to lie. He did a lot of bad shit. Reversed a lot of different laws and different things that should never have been reversed.
I want to address something Bama Dad said earlier about telling men from women hadn't been a problem until the last 10 years. You got to remember the era I grew up in. And in the late 60s and early 70s, men started growing their hair out. And I remember as a young teenager, my granddad asked me once, and he said, "Jamie, is that a man or a male or a female?" And I said, "Pop, if you gotta ask, it doesn't matter." So there's that, but never to the degree that we're seeing now. And you know, this is America. You got to go be you, and I don't begrudge that to anybody, but just don't force the whole trans thing down people's throats like they're
Well,
trying.
and don't encourage it in schools, and don't push it and drive it and try and get these kids to think there's something else. Don't be pushing drugs on them and fucking with their brains, because that's what's happening. They keep pushing all these different drugs, and a lot of times we've seen where some schools are being sued because these schools were issuing drugs without the parents' notifications or consent.
Yeah, they would literally
Amen
guide
to that.
a child, and then all of a sudden the kid comes home with a bottle of Ritalin, or either they were dispensing it to them in school without even telling the parents. We found that your child's got ADD. We decided your child's got ADD, so we're going to put them on. We put them on Ritalin. When you try to do anything about it, they threaten to take the child away from you.
Yep.
That's, you know.
Hey, bud, you need to stop that. I've been there. I've had that fight, and I told the teacher and the principal in the principal's office. I said, anytime a kid gives you any problem, your first answer is to drug the kid. I said, my kid's a little rambunctious. I agree. He's a boy. He's being a boy. I said, but if you have a problem making him behave, all you got to do is call me, and I'll come up here and make his ass behave.
Absolutely.
No problem. No problem. I'll bust his butt and let you watch. I said, but giving him drugs, you know what their response was? Well, it's always the dad that resists, which tells me, yeah, it's and this was in the 80s, so late 80s, early 90s. So
It's been a problem for a long time, man.
Yeah, so it's a thing.
I even saw that growing up back home. They you know, he's got issues and this that we need to put him on drugs and all this other shit. Like, no, he's literally freaking out because he doesn't want to be here and this that the other. You know, discipline the little bitch. I don't understand how we went from, you know, it's okay to smack your kid to not okay to smack your kid. Smack him around a little bit. It'll help him. Trust me. You know, walking through a grocery store and you get stared at because you smack them on the ass because they're throwing a tantrum, and everyone thinks you're beating your child now. No, it's a smack on the butt like you deserve. But it's so frowned upon now.
Well, I'll jump in here. I think you know, I will be one to say, you know, if you do it once, all it takes is a look, and they don't push it anymore. You know, like they just need to know you're willing to do it. But it's how you do it, and each state may vary. New York, it's legal, you know, as long as it's an open hand, not in the face or anything like that. But you can legally spank your kid. You know, although everybody, the school CPS is going to be showing up at your house probably after they go to school and tell everybody. But you know, it is legal. But people, that's the invitation to get all in your business. You know, so and if you respond like Jamie did up there, you know what I mean, then they're going to be like, oh, it's your only form of discipline, and now that's abusive, and blah blah blah, and you know, now they want to send people to damn psychiatrist, and it's a freaking nightmare. So you know, personally, I think people should homeschool, private school, or if you got a cool school, that's good, but don't deal with a bullshit school, because you know, as the other guy said, They'll give your kids drugs. They'll pull your kids out of your house. They'll do whatever the hell they want to do. So
I know it's hard for a lot of people to homeschool, but I think homeschool should be the way.
It is. We did. I mean, we took both of our kids through. We pulled them out of public school. One was in, I think it was in 5th grade, and the other one was in like 2nd grade. And we pulled them both out, and we took them the rest of the way through.
yeah, the youngest years, it's been proven, are like the most influential or whatever. Like, probably screwing up the term, but you guys know what I mean. So, you can't like work on it later, or I should have. If you truly care and you feel your kid's not in a safe spot or they're not doing right by your kid, it's upon you as a parent to make changes to do better. If you got to move, if it's a hardship, you got to turn in the car and drive a beater to pay for the other school. You should do the best that you could do for your kid. That's just within a parent, should be. But you shouldn't make excuses and be like, well, everybody else goes.
Yeah.
In some places, average is garbage. Average isn't good. Not everyone.
Yeah.
But
if you look at the numbers and you're bringing up statistics, if you look at the numbers in the last 10 years, the numbers have dropped horrifically as far as how well kids are doing. I mean, it's been dropping for a lot longer than that, but the last 10 years specifically, it's dropped a shit ton. And kids are not doing well in school whatsoever.
No, they're not. And they're passing them right on through. But that all started all the way back in the 80s. I'll never forget when Reagan ran and he put Bill Bennett in as the czar over education. Bill Bennett said, we've got to stop not testing these teachers. He said, because we have people that are coming into the education system and they can't read and write. And they're supposed to teach the kids. He said, this is the dumbing down of America.
Oh, yeah. When teaching kids martial arts, man, I'll tell you, the one thing that I absolutely despised was parents staying around and watching. Because the problem is now the kids are distracted because the parents are there, right? So now you got to try and get them to not be distracted. Well, then when you're trying to explain something and the kid's not quite doing it right, or whatever, you're trying to fix it, they're chiming in on the sidelines. Like, you're not a part of this class. Shut your mouth. Let me do my job. Keep your mouth shut. But no, they constantly pipe up and need to be said. But no, that's not what they're here for. I'm not here to hear from you. They're here to learn from the teachers. Let us teach.
Yeah, that's it's like the old joke they've got around here, the reason they build fences around Little League baseball fields is to keep the parents off the field.
Well, and the problem with it is we kept seeing it more and more where they didn't want the discipline. They just wanted them to fly through it. Well, that's not what happens. They got to go through the discipline part of it. They got to actually understand what we're teaching them. They got to understand the concept of what's going on. And if they can't understand it, then they're not going to get passed. You want one of those schools, there's plenty of them out there. They'll hand out belts left, right, and center as long as you keep paying them money.
Yeah, they should wear that. What's the lowest belt? A white belt?
Yep.
They'll be wearing that white belt for 6 years if they don't listen.
Well, you get there's a lot of them nowadays that they have you, you start your white belt and they'll start putting stripes on you. So after a couple of weeks, they'll give you a stripe because you learned this or you learned that. And then after another couple of weeks, they'll give you another stripe and so on and so forth. There was never, ever stripes. You had that white belt for many years before you got anything back in the day. And the only reason belts were even put out was because of the military, because the military wanted some kind of recognition.
You didn't get any kind of addition to your belt until you were already a black belt and went beyond, correct?
Right. Yeah. You didn't. You had to earn it, man. And you'd have whenever you become a black belt, you stay in that particular black belt for a long time before you get up into the next dan and so on and so forth. It takes a long time. I mean, unless you're in one of
Are
the.
you trying to say Steven Seagal's course online for $99.99 for the 12 belt step program isn't legit, man?
Say it ain't so.
It is absolute bullshit. I'm not saying you might not learn a thing or two, but you ain't gonna learn a whole lot that's actually to help you.
Is that real? Does he have an online?
There's a lot of people that have done shit like that over the years. It wouldn't surprise me if he does.
I thought he was old school enough that if you didn't go,
Oh, dude, he got sucked into the system pretty good. When he got into acting and started doing all these really shitty ass movies over the years, he got sucked into the system. Just whatever he could do to make money.
have you noticed now he doesn't even get out of a chair hardly?
Because he doesn't have to.
I don't think he can.
Yeah, no, he's done a lot of stuff that was questionable over the years, and there's a lot of people that have questioned a lot of his events and demonstrations and stuff. And
Say that
you got to remember when you're doing events and stuff, a lot of it is choreographed, but it's supposed to be in real time, so there is potential for actual injury and all that going on. But you watch some of his stuff with his students, it's very, very questionable. You can tell they're not going full speed. I've had demonstrations where we were doing stuff, and I've had people get broken noses, broken fingers, broken arms, broken toes. You're going full tilt. Something's gonna happen, man.
Well, and that stuff that he does. What is his?
His bread and butter is Aikido.
Yeah, and I mean that's all about breaking stuff, isn't it?
It looks like bad acting half the time.
Yeah. So, the thing of it is, all the movies he's done, most of the people that are in the movies with him doing all the stunts, they're his students.
The movies can kind of fool you. The movies look good, but your grandma can look like Rambo with a team and 30 takes. So.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. It's all his.
Yeah.
It's all
but
his
the real life demonstrations, like it's hard not to laugh, in my opinion. Like that's just.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell if someone's going full speed or not going full speed. Hell, I've been smacked in the head with a wooden sword before doing demonstrations. You go full speed, something's gonna happen, dude.
All I ever had. The funniest thing I've ever seen in my life is the clips of the different movies where he takes off running. Even back when he was younger.
No, his runs are hilarious.
When he runs, it's so funny. It's ridiculous. They should have never put a camera on him and him running. That just blows the whole movie.
What was that one? There was one on the train. I don't know if that was like Lethal Weapon. I don't know if I'm thinking the right series or whatever, but like I said, some of those, they look pretty good on camera, but again, just about anybody can look good on camera.
I think that was Under Siege 2 or something like that, maybe.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
The first one was on a boat. I think the other one was on a train.
And keep in mind, like looking back at these movies, sometimes you got a vision in your head. When you go back and look at them, they look nothing like they did back in like if you're actually watching old movies, holy shit, you laugh at that.
It'd be funny when I used to live in Missouri with my teacher, and we'd be watching these movies, man. We'd sit there and just pick them apart, He'd be calling out different techniques. I'd be calling bullshit on this one, bullshit on that.
Yeah, just the video quality of some of the older movies. It's pretty amazing how far we've come in a few decades, I guess you could say. So as far as watching something on a VHS tape to watching something now, it's like in some cases close to night and day.
Yeah. Yeah, I never. So Vanessa said broken bone at 4 and 5. My first broken bone, I think I was like 18, and I broke the smallest bone in the entire body possible. That's how good I am. I broke the smallest bone in the entire body. It's called the scaphoid bone.
The what?
The scaphoid bone. It's in your hand. In your hand, joint, in your hand, going into your wrists.
Was that a masturbation injury?
I knew it was either going to be a wiener joke or that one of the two.
No, so that was so I used to a long time ago. I used to ride on racing bikes, pedal bikes, and I was doing about 45, 50 miles an hour at the time. And back then, 18s were legal, so the tire size was super, super skinny. And so I was riding on 18s then, and I hit a hole in the road, and it was just enough to throw my steering off. And I smashed into the fucking curb and went head over. And I went to roll, and as I went to roll, the only thing that was sticking out was my thumb. And so my thumb rolled all the way backwards and over and hit my wrist.
I've broken my thumbs. That's the only thing I've ever broken.
So, Alan, in other words, the answer to your question is yes.
Now you know why I didn't have both hands on the handlebar.
I would seriously have to add up how many bones I've broken.
Uh-oh, we got an evil Knievel in our midst.
I've only broken 2 bones, that one, and then I broke my ankle.
I've broke at least 8 bones. It's probably more than that.
I've been extremely lucky. So I think a toe once or twice, a finger maybe. I never really went to the hospital for anything, but jacked up for quite a while pain wise. So, but other than that, I've been, like I said, I think extremely lucky. So, I mean, I've busted my teeth with wrenches while working on stuff, and my whole face was numb, and I thought I'd swallowed my teeth, but was lucky, they were there. So, obviously other things as well where I've been ragged all types of shit and should have been screwed up, but somehow I've just been lucky, even falling from heights. X-rayed me twice thinking there's no way this guy isn't busted, and they couldn't find a damn thing. So I don't know, man. I think it's all the chocolate milk I drink or something.
The chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk and salads, bro. I'm telling you. It's been pretty lucky.
That's not real milk you're drinking. That's bullshit. But
I've had a lot of other injuries, but as far as actual broken bones or severe crush injuries, I've been pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any milk in it.
Yeah, I stopped counting at 300 stitches.
Dang.
I didn't have very many stitches at all until I got cancer, and now my stomach looks like a map, like a road map.
didn't keep track of stitches. Not that I'm claiming to had over 300 or whatever, but I've had them a few times and should have had them probably more than I have had them. But that's another story.
Yeah. Always good to keep a bottle of super glue laying around.
Yeah, I got a suture kit and a staple kit now, but yeah, didn't always have that in the past.
Well, I can tell you this, I'm not suturing up nothing. Not unless I've got something to deaden it first. There's nothing worse than getting a needle halfway through and you just can't make yourself keep going.
I had to remove a molar once with nothing but a marble and an eraser and a pair of needle nose pliers.
Shot of whiskey, pair of pliers, get it done.
And sometimes, you're in enough pain, you'll do some crazy shit, or if you're in the wrong spot.
That's how most of my teeth, when they had to be removed, were all removed when I was a kid, man. Shot of whiskey, pair of pliers. There was no rushing out to the freaking dentist, any of that crap, man. It took forever to get to see one. So yeah, it was shot of whiskey, pair of pliers. You'd have to have me loosen it up as loose as I could get it first by hand, and then shot of whiskey, pair of pliers, yank that bitch out
till you break a root off.
Never had it happen, man.
Yeah. Mine was like busted the crown. That's what the marble and erasers for, is get the marble right on the tooth and eraser to like on top of the marble so you can bite down on it and bust it apart in your gums and then pick the pieces out. It's fun stuff.
Just to cover ourselves legally, we're not giving medical advice here.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
But I can tell you, I was a dental technician for 15 years, and one of my buddies, one of my customers, who was also a good friend, was a dentist, and I had a broken tooth, and I went to him, and he went to pull it out, and he pulled the whole top of it off, and all three roots stayed in my mouth and below the gum line. He laid it down. I looked at it, and I said, "Oh, you screwed up." He goes, "Yeah, we'll fix it." That's not fun.
Yeah, when a simple extraction turns immediately into oral surgery.
Or practically. He got the roots out though. Let's put it this way: he got the majority of it out. A month later, you feel something, and you're sticking your tongue in it, going, "What the heck is going on there?" And you scratch the top of it off, and here comes another piece of bone through.
Well, listen here, Kyle. There's more than one of us on the panel that have medical experience. So yeah.
Yeah, it was probably separated or dead at that point, because it seems like as soon as it's removed or whatever, there's nothing really to feel anymore. So
Till you expose that nerve. Ooh. I've never really had a problem with pain from stuff like that in my mouth. I mean, I go in and the guy said, I said, "I need a root canal." He goes, "No, you've waited till the root died." Oh, okay.
Yeah, never really had too many issues there.
It's just, there's some people that never lose a tooth, and they're died in their 90s and they've still got all their teeth. And there's some people that drop teeth like they drop hair as they get older. But used to they didn't do anything to save teeth. They just pulled them. You had people walking around in their early 30s with dentures. I know I made a lot of them.
SKS Hugo, I can't tell you how many times, man, I flying off the seat on the freaking top tube. Oh yeah.
There was a bunch of parents that like used to put soda in bottles and shit like that too. What they call it, bottle rot or something. That screwed up a bunch of kids. Like, yeah, I don't know, not necessarily a generation, but that certainly didn't help with people probably as well.
Well, you got to think too. Back in the day, candy was super cheap. So kids were eating candy like crazy,
Man,
and some adults too. Some adults really loved their candy, man.
oh yeah, yeah. Shit, I love candy. I was a fat kid from all goddamn candy I loved, but I obviously I had the majority of my teeth, but I have lost a few due to not getting small issues taken care of when I started. So,
All right, next subject. We talked about some medical shit. Let's move on to something else.
California.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
That's the second
We'll
time you
talk
put
about something else first, because that one might take a little bit of time to go through. Alan, you got another topic?
Well, no, the only time I was ever going to praise Gavin Newsom.
I guess we'll go there. For those that don't know or haven't seen yet, good old fucking Newsom signed an executive order banning Glocks as machine guns.
why didn't you tell us you were buddies with this guy?
That piece of shit? Hell no. As much as I have a disdain
Yeah,
for Glocks,
I think it's really interesting that he had to go the route of it being a machine gun. Well, yeah, okay, they make a particular model, but
well, if
simply
you
because everybody's got these switches out there, and so now they're just banning the whole brand altogether.
right, so
I'm
what they have it
really
listed as in the executive order is easily convertible.
Well, I think they're going to shoot. I think the Supreme Court's going to shoot that thing down.
Oh, it will, absolutely, I'm sure.
You can't go after a brand. Just that makes no sense.
It's one thing to actually ban the one that is a machine gun, but to try and ban the entire company, yeah, that's a little
Well,
ridiculous.
keep in mind, I mean, a lot of people have been suing gun companies, and some cases, companies are just settling out, and some they're losing, some I guess are winning.
Well,
So
it's
it's
easier for them to settle than to go to court and spend years in court trying to fight it.
yeah. I still don't like it though, personally.
I don't like it either, but that's what they're doing. They're selling
Yeah,
on purpose just to save the hassle of years of fighting in court.
yeah. But it just encourages more.
I, the
It's like blackmail. It's
the
just
huge sad part about it is all the legal firearms owners that maybe they're even collectors of that particular brand, that are going to be impacted by this fucking jackwagon that doesn't know the fucking shit from a hole in the ground.
Well, and that's the thing. You got all these people that are making law, signing all these executive orders and shit, and they don't know anything about it.
I think this is where, like, in some cases, I mean, well, not in some cases, in most cases, where people overstep the bounds, you should pass that whole immunity or you're covered by the state or whatever the hell it is thing, and it should be we should be able to go after these people personally, like as far as like criminally or liable or whatever, because I don't know, this is another one of them things where he's just talking out his ass because other people are breaking the law and modifying something, to ban something like that. If anybody's harmed from that, Glock's going to be harmed financially, all this shit. Like, and it's technically not even a legitimate thing. I mean, we don't ban Fords because somebody got ran over with one last night. Somebody decided to break the speed limit. Doesn't turn it into an assault truck. Like, what? We all know this is just stupid. So it's like you said, you're wasting taxpayer money. You're wasting people's time. You're tying everything up. You should be personally responsible for all that shit.
Okay, so Walter just said it's a little more than just the Glocks. That you have to have an FFL to buy a barrel now, and you can only get 3 guns a month. So an FFL to buy a barrel, that's absolutely fucking retarded. There is nowhere on that barrel that is considered an actual device, so therefore that's just dumb. I don't understand how they even allow that to even go through. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
It just goes to prove how big of an idiot he is.
It doesn't make, what's the FFL supposed to do? Put it as other? It's not an other.
That's true.
So then they have to change the form again just for California?
Well, something I wasn't aware of. Walter was telling me that there's a list of what you can and can't buy already.
Oh yeah, they have an approved list. They've had that for many, many, many years. And if it ain't on the list, then you can't buy it in California. They've had that for so many years.
Yeah, you say Walter said it wasn't an executive order; it was actual legislation.
Oh, the one post that I saw, a news post, said it was an executive order for the Glock one.
Yeah, I saw that they had formally outlawed that he had got it passed.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's back when I bought my Barrett. I'm glad that they came out and said that BMGs were illegal in California. I made money off of buying that rifle and selling it. Close to $2,000 because people wanted it so bad. They couldn't sell them, but they could buy a used one.
Yeah.
I was more than happy to sell it to them. That's one gun I was glad to see go. That thing was going to sit on the shelf more than it ever got shot.
Yeah, as far as the whole barrel one goes, we know they've been trying to come after us for years, building their own, making their own. And that's just another way to try and stop you from being able to do that.
God, I know people up north don't like it, but it sure is good to live in the South. If you want to hit your cannon up behind your car and drag it around town, that's okay.
Yeah, so I guess Glock's no longer shipping to Cali, and it takes effect beginning the 26th. That's just nuts, man.
They'll lose a lot of sales.
Yeah, California's not the only one that has. What's that?
It's shocking that they would actually do something like that. But when you think about it, that most of the Glocks that are actually in California are not legally owned anyway, the ones that are causing the trouble.
Well, it's not about causing trouble. It's about removing rights from people. That's what California and a lot of these other states have always been about.
Yeah.
What are all the Leos going to do that carry Glocks in California?
Start carrying Smith and Wessons, I guess.
Oh, I'm sure they'll still be permitted to.
Yeah, that is the truth. When they did the BMG block, it was individuals that weren't involved in law enforcement that couldn't have them, but law enforcement could. And Mr. Barrett stood up and he said, no, he said, if I can't sell them to everybody, I'm not selling them to you either. So he quit selling, even if the state of California commission wanting to buy 50 BMGs, they couldn't buy. He wouldn't sell them to them.
Oh yeah, Walter. Yeah, absolutely. I know it'll be contested, but yeah, it's that's going to cost a heck of a lot. Yeah, I'm sure the GOA and a bunch of others will jump in and sue them and all the rest of it. But it's gonna, again, now you got to fight it, and it's going to take years to get through and all the rest of it. It's gonna have to end up going to the Supreme Court more than likely, because all these lower courts, are probably just gonna say, yeah, it's fine, it can stay.
It seems like they should be able to do it without having to hire a bunch of attorneys, everything. They're violating the Constitution. So.
Oh yeah, they all know they are. Just like Walter says, he knows it's unconstitutional. Yeah, they all know. They don't care.
And they're wasting taxpayer money, and then making taxpayers use more of their money to fight against it. So.
And if you ask any of them out there how they feel about it, they'd say, well, it's a good start.
Right. That's what they always do.
And a good start at what? That's what gets me. What's it a good start as?
A good start at taking all your guns. That's what they want, dude. That's what they've always wanted.
I want an unarmed citizenry.
Everything that they're doing, everything they've done over the years and years and years and years is to get everyone disarmed, because they know there's millions of gun owners and they have to disarm us in order to be able to actually complete the plan of what they want, which is total and utter control.
So to answer my own question, California State Law AB 1127 specifically exempts law enforcement officers from the ban on new purchases. It also allows them to continue to carry the Glocks that they already own. The law just prohibits firearms dealers from selling Glock to anybody other than law enforcement. And I'm sorry, but that's the fucking point of the Second Amendment.
There you go.
Yep. That's typically how it goes with these laws. They still allow law enforcement and all that. So yeah, it's ridiculous. We're coming up on the hour, Alan. You want to go through the side chat? We got quite a few people out there making some good comments, helping the topic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Side chat's been hopping, man. Absolutely hopping. If I go to the participants list, it says Viejo, Vanessa Kitty, Thorzax, Patriot Paul, MCK out there. We've had lots and lots. Ozzy Osbourne, Mr. Kyle Lusk. And many other. SKS, Hugo. For some reason, YouTube's participant list chat just doesn't cut the mustard anymore at all. They like undercut it every single time. AOK Foraging and Ventures, Edward Petty and Boomstick, and lots of great to see everybody out here this evening.
Yeah, so Waller said it's not just Glocks, it's any semi-auto that has a cruciform action. That's a wide array right there.
Oh yeah, you're getting into what? Any Glock clone, you know, anybody that's making anything, all of your.
That's gonna cover polymer 80s, the whole 9 yards, dude.
Oh yeah, I mean, you pull them apart, most of them. I mean, that's going to get into SIG. That's going to get into everybody. Beretta, SIG, Ruger, FN. So it's anything that can have that so-called Glock switch on it that can hold the cruciform down and let it go fully automatic. And that's not fully automatic. That's, I mean, an 18 round. Have you seen somebody shoot one that had one on there? A 15 round or 18 round mag, just it's gone.
I've seen videos. Yeah, it looks very wasteful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, if you were cornered, surrounded by 5 people in an alley or something, maybe, but still, I don't know, you know, very wasteful and uncontrollable.
Yeah. Because 9 times out of 10, that thing's going to go into battery and it's not going to come out until the mag's empty.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have a follow-up. You're just done.
Well, I've seen a video where people are shooting up ceilings, all types of shit. Like, they don't, like, yeah, granted, it might just be these people running around Chicago throwing videos up, but they damn sure aren't doing too well, except, just creating a lot of noise and damage, I guess.
Yeah, that is just, they're going to have to do something to, I mean, here's the thing. Start doing what needs to be done. Prosecute the criminals.
Yeah. Stop being nice.
What a novel idea.
Do what?
So what a novel idea.
Yeah, I mean, you want to cut down on crime? Keep them in jail.
We've seen time and time again where they really don't care. That's why they're okay with open borders. That's why they're okay with all these people coming in and causing more issues and helping their vote, because that's what they want. They want them there for the vote.
And the open borders thing, I'm all for anybody that wants to come here legally and do anything. But the truth is, the reason Californians are throwing a fit is because they have nobody to pick their fruit. You're not going to get Bloods and Crips to work in the orchards. The only thing they want to harvest is marijuana.
Yep.
I met a guy that came in. Now I can't remember where he came from. Maybe Puerto Rico. I don't know. He was a hell of a character, but he came in saying that when he got here illegally, he ended up down in Florida somewhere, and they ended up throwing him on like a fruit picking place or whatever, plantation, whatever you want to call it, whatever. And apparently the way it's set up there is like, they charge you for the housing and everything. It sounded just like the old company store shit where they pay so little, like you could never really leave. So most of them get trapped there. Like he ran away and, you know, stole shit along the way to get different places or whatever. And like this guy showed up with a different bike like every day to work. He was probably not the best person to be here, but basically that was a story he was telling me about along the way. So it makes me wonder, you know, if they paid actually decent prices at some of these places. Not saying, you know, you should make $100,000 a year to pick fruit or something, but you know, if it was like something livable, maybe more people, more Americans would be willing to do it. You know, I don't know. So, like they say that a lot of jobs like construction or this or that, like who's going to build your house, all this shit. Well, there's plenty of Americans that'll do it, but the Americans get fired so they can hire like 3 illegals. That's the problem. You know, the Americans trying to like, you know, ask about benefits or, you know, anything like that, and you're done. Like sometimes they'll replace the American or a good American for a bad American because there's a tax credit because the bad American's a felon and out of jail, so the state or the government pays a portion to the manufacturer, the company, to hire that person, and they get a credit off that as well. So the guy that did shit right gets punished. Well, the other guy gets the rewards. So really, like the system's kind of funky in some places. So you know, could be part of the problem.
That is part of the problem. It definitely is. There is a scrapyard here in town, and I know the owner, and they buy any kind of, I mean, they buy bridges and they'll go cut them down for the scrap steel. They buy cement trucks, train cars, anything, you know, and then they cut them loose with cutting torches, cutting it into manageable sized pieces and sell the scrap metal off. And primarily all steel. And he had inner city group that was working for him, and he had some trouble keeping them on the job, you know. And some Mexicans came along and said, "Hey, would you hire? We'll be glad to do the job." And I mean, the job's horrible. I mean, they jump up in the back of a cement mixer and with a jackhammer and knock the concrete loose so they can cut the steel up. So you can imagine, even with hearing protection, they're going deaf. But they came to him one day and said, "Hey, that boat that you got over there," he had a big deep sea fishing boat, you know, like a guy in a landlocked area has got a deep sea fishing boat that he plans on fixing up and going to take it to the coast and never gets there. Said, if we'll take less money if you let us live on that boat." We were all sitting down eating dinner one night, and on TV it comes on. It goes, "Such and such steel company was shut down today because they found out that they weren't paying their employees minimum wage, and we've looked back into their taxes. They weren't paying their taxes either." And I said, I hollered at my wife and I said, "Is that so and so?" And she goes, "Yep." He said, "They got him." But he literally, they were practically working for free, living on that boat to have a place to live. He put air conditioning in the boat and everything else for them, and but that's where they were living and paying them hardly nothing. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, they say that's why a lot of these people are freaking out about this, because you know there's lack of workers, hotel industries, cleaning industries, you know, I assume picking industries, whatever the hell you call it, agriculture. But again, across the board, you know, in some of these areas, if they were willing to, you know, pay something decent, not that it should be $100,000 a year or something, but you know, pay something decent. Yeah, you'd probably have more people showing up. But I don't know. I think a lot of employers, you know, thankfully, you know, I don't have to worry about one or whatever. I work for myself, but yeah, I don't know how a lot of people deal with a lot of the bullshit. Like, you know, like every individual has self value, but some of the way these employers deal with people, it's like, you know, you're just a piece of shit. They really don't care. Like, you know, they kick people out the door right before retirement and laugh about it. Basically, like they don't they don't care about you like
No,
at all.
they don't give a shit about you, man. There's a reason I work in the back of the plant, and that's to stay away from everybody. Because if I worked anywhere near up front, I'd have been fired a long time ago.
Look, even like some of the school things, teachers getting beat up and shit. You just try to like throw a kid off, and you could lose your job. Like some of this shit has gotten so crazy that it. I don't know how people do it. I really don't.
No, I don't either. I mean, where's the heart? You know, I guess their heart is their bank account. That's, I guess that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I think, you know, now we're getting out there, but I think they've got people down. As soon as you're out of school, you're stuck to credit. You're in the hole. Now you got to have the perfect family. All these girls want $1 million, and you got to be 12 feet tall and all this shit nowadays. You know, people are just forced into debt. And if you tell your boss no for some reason, you know, you lose every goddamn thing. Like you,
You know,
you lose yourself to slave.
I'm lucky. My boss has a good understanding of what I'm gonna say before I say it. Now, I've worked there for so long now that when he walks up, he pretty much walks up and goes, "Don't you say it. I already know what you're gonna say. Don't do it." Or he'll look at me and be like, "What you got to say?" And I'm like, "I'll save it until I know what's gonna happen first, and then we'll go from there."
Oh, that's cool. I mean, there's some good employers. I'm not stating everybody, but just
Oh,
kind of the whole. It just seems like nobody's appreciated. You know, everybody hates their job. That's why they do shitty jobs. Nobody cares. They don't fire the people they should. And
the
the
rest of the
people,
company sucks. It's just I have a decent boss in my area. If it wasn't for him, there's no way I'd still be there, man. He's the only reason I'm still there. I can guarantee you that. Everyone else there, all the people up front, yeah, they do not like me one bit. Because I'm not afraid to open my mouth and say what I need to say. I've even bitched out the operations manager more than once, and it's the only time I've ever talked to her. She does not like me whatsoever. Because she knows that I have a good understanding of business, and I'm not gonna sit there and play her game and listen to her bullshit. When we have all these meetings and discussing, what the company did for the month and all the rest of it, I sit in the back of the room or I stand in the back of the room because, some of the shit that comes out of her mouth, I just gotta sit back there and laugh because I know it's all crap. But the rest of the people sit there and most of them fall for it and, oh yeah, we're doing so fantastic. No, we're not, dude. All the shit we're making is going to the fucking warehouse.
Oh man.
Well, it's the same thing. You got people now wanting mandates. They expect you to work at McDonald's and make $30 an hour. We can't make a livable wage working at McDonald's. Well, the whole thing is you're not supposed to stay at McDonald's.
Well, it's not even just there. Like you look at some some other employers, man, even ones that you would think, even ones that are putting a range on it and it has a higher top tier on the range. even some of those, they're just trying to pay people the bare minimum entry level wage. I applied for a job a few months back, and they called me on the Monday, set up an interview for Wednesday, had the interview. They called me back an hour later and offered me the job, but they offered me base pay, entry level pay. And I talked to the lady at HR, and I'm like, "You've seen my resume, right?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You realize that the pay you're offering is for someone that's never been a supervisor before. I've been a supervisor, manager, general manager for many years, and you think I'm going to take that?" And she's like, "Yeah, I get it. I understand it. Like, you need to go talk to the GM because there ain't no way in hell I'm working for that." He wouldn't come up, dude. They wouldn't come up. That was their pay. They wanted to sit there at the base pay, even though they knew I had the experience and probably knew more than the guy running the show. And that's probably why he didn't really want me there.
You weren't the demographic they were looking for.
Maybe.
They just
Maybe,
didn't want to
but
pay me for it. They wanted to they wanted to try and keep me down because they probably knew that the GM knew that I probably knew more than he did.
well, that's something they do if they can get somebody, with less experience, younger, whatever the case is, that's more hungry for it. They'll work for less and not make waves basically. But somebody
Right.
that knows what the hell they're doing is gonna know when they're cutting a corner and might have an opinion, and they don't want to hear that shit. Yeah,
Right.
that's my opinion. But yeah, I was gonna counter the McDonald's thing. You're probably not gonna live the American dream working at McDonald's or whatever. But you would think a single person might be able to pay their bills if they're working full time. As far as like cost of living, not stating it should be $30 an hour or anything, but when you consider a lot of jobs we don't even have anymore, like they don't even exist here, like manufacturing stuff like that, like where are people going to go? Like even like Scotsman's saying, something he's qualified for, they're trying to lowball him. They're not like, oh man, we've been waiting for somebody with your experience. Shit, you might even save us money. We'll pay you a little more because we might be able to give another guy less hours, whatever, because you're the brains of the operation. But they don't work like that. They'd rather get somebody that's they can scream at that's going to do it their way, I guess, is what it seems like. So I don't know.
Right. No,
But
that's
basically,
exactly what it sounds like, man. Yep.
there's not many jobs out there. There's high end and then there's low jobs. There's some in the middle. You know what I mean? But when you look at like the pay scale, you got your more professional, and there's not a whole lot of the, in some sense, blue collar. Not that pays what they claim it pays. So at least that, from what I see, from what I hear, what lines up with what Scotsman's saying as well.
Right. And even like if you go back to like the hard graft kind of jobs and all that, all these kids that are coming into these jobs don't want to do the hard graft. They want to sit there and try and cruise through it. And it's not how it works.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, they don't want to put their time in, and that's something we all should do. You can't just show up day one and expect to be the top dog. Like, you got to put your time in. But at the same time, when you put your time in, you should be rewarded for it.
They don't want to put the effort and the hard work in either. They just.
Well, there you go. Then there you go. That's the whole thing. I mean, anybody that takes a job working at a fast food restaurant and thinks that they're going to make a livable wage and be able to pay their bills, something's wrong with that person's mind already. I mean, you're taking the bottom basement job in the country. It's not like you're being a chef at a 5-star restaurant. You're going to work at a place that has a hole in the wall that shows food out to people. It's not the place where you're going to make a living.
Let me ask you this. Would it be better that some guy, middle-aged guy that's a little off but capable to live by himself, could pay rent on maybe a one bed, like just renting a room with other people like him and be able to pay his own way and have a purpose, would that be better than him just sitting at home and collecting welfare?
Well, do you want to pay $35 for a Big Mac and a large?
No, I don't think it should be that. But on the same end, housing shouldn't be what it is either. I mean,
No.
housing is freaking ridiculous. So the whole scale is fucked up. It's not that you should make $30 for that, but a little one bedroom shouldn't cost you $1,000, $1,200, and with roaches and crazy neighbors in your living room.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what we got here, you know.
You know, you tell somebody, you tell these kids to come out, they're going to college. You want a house, go to college, get a good job, get out. Well, you know, you get out and a small, you know, 3-bedroom house, two bath house is going to cost you, depending on where you live, you know, here you're going to be paying close to $200,000. And I imagine that you don't have to go far away from Alabama to get way over that for the same house. When I see some of the houses that sell in California that are selling for over $1 million, and it's a house that, like my parents, that I grew up in, that's probably, when my parents bought it, was probably $25,000, and now they're getting $3 million or $2 million for it, and it's a 1-level ranch, 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. We got a problem. And that's why Blackwater, not Blackwater, but what is the company that's buying up all the houses? BlackRock.
Yeah, BlackRock. They're similar. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going.
Not
they're
similar,
going,
but the name's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going around. They're buying every house that you can't. Just look at your neighborhood. Pull up Zillow and look at the houses in your neighborhood and see which houses are owned by realtors and not owned by individuals. You'll be shocked.
Again, they don't want you to own anything. They're building up the entire system for the system itself to crash, so that they can switch it over overnight and put you on a digital system and go, hey, you got to have this, you got to have that. Oh, you want this? Well, you won't get that unless you do this. They've been planning this shit for a long, long time.
When you start seeing your mailboxes stuffed with these things that we'll buy your house, we'll give you a check right now. No, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to fix anything up or nothing. This is what we'll give you. And the offers are above what you would think the house is worth. And people are jumping on it.
Take a look at Sweden. Sweden now has 300,000 that have a chip in their hand for digital ID, the whole 9 yards, and that's the system we're on now.
Who was it just the other day that is it England that's going to try to do the same thing?
So the PM is trying to get it where if you don't get one, you won't be able to work, and they're trying to say that's a way to crack down on illegal immigration, which is bullshit because they opened the borders just like Biden opened the borders here. And it's always been, immigration's always been a problem there. And it's only gotten worse with Tony Blair, and then this guy Steyer, whatever his name is, Steyer, whatever. It's only gotten fucking 10 times worse, if not 20 times worse. You can't turn around without fucking seeing someone that shouldn't be there.
I was watching a video right before we started tonight, and it was is it Dearborn, Michigan, that is now primarily Muslim?
Yeah, the home of Chevrolet.
I believe so.
And
I believe they got a big issue there.
They, if you're caught trying to hand out Christian material, they will arrest you and throw you in jail in that city on a public sidewalk. These guys went out, 3 guys, and they started to hand out these pamphlets, and they weren't out there 3 minutes, and there were 7 cops around them. They took their telephones, their cameras, everything away from them, and took them to not to a police station, but to a detention area. And they told them, they said, you cannot do that here. They said, well, this is America. We're free to do whatever we want to do on the sidewalks. He said, it's freedom of speech. He said, if you're caught, he said, well, where can we do it? They said, no closer than 5 blocks to anything Muslim. So Muslims have a protected area in Dearborn, Michigan, that you cannot talk about Christianity within 5 city blocks of them. That's in the USA.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, man. I mean, I've seen people arrested in England for shouting bacon in the street. That's how bad it's getting. You can literally screaming bacon and they get arrested.
I literally said, that's what y'all ought to do. You said, it's time to pull up a pulled pork wagon and start selling pulled pork and right around them. I swear I'd get a hot dog stand and anything and park out in front of a mosque. Run me off.
It's not about these people. It's not about these people. It's about taking away the rights of other people slowly but surely.
It's about power. It's about having control over other human beings, that they've got to do what you say. And that's nothing new. That's been going on since the beginning of time.
Right. They're just ramping up big time. They've been ramping it up for quite a few years now, and now they're really, really ramping it hard. The EU is on the same page as with Sweden and everywhere else, where they want this digital ID, and if you don't have a digital ID, you can't go in the EU.
I'm gonna start an ammunition company and just start selling pork lard dipped lubricated bullets.
Yeah, it's kind of been done. There's I believe a company out there that did that for a little while, dipped in pig's blood or something like that. So, I don't know. It was a thing, but pretty controversial back in the day. So, and it's like kind of like some of the playing cards and different things where some of that's come out online and things are different versions, but I don't know what you're really supposed to talk about or not with that stuff. But both of those you can find images online. So,
well, there was some place they built a mosque in some little city, and huge mosque, and it was a really lower income area, and the people had lived there forever. So the guy just converted his property into a pig farm. And it had him, and his property bordered the mosque property. And it made him so mad they were trying to get him shut down. And he had a thing, he put a sign up and said, pig races every Friday afternoon. When their call to prayer goes on. But they're broadcasting their call to prayer over loudspeakers in cities here. The only time I've ever seen that, I was in Africa, in downtown Nairobi in the middle of the night. Or middle of the afternoon, and all of a sudden you start hearing this chant coming across, a loudspeaker system, and they're louder than a missile siren, and you have no option but to hear it. And they're doing that here in our country now. People are screaming, saying, "Hey, we want that stopped. It's noise pollution." And the cities are saying, we're not going to do anything about it. What's going on? I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out. We're living in a different time. I'm fine with them being here. I'm fine with them worshiping the way they want to worship. Just don't push that on. Don't do that here. Don't try to push people out. There's a good interview with a Muslim guy that talks about it. He says, well, what if we went to a Muslim country and did that? So they'd kill you. But that's why we come here, because our plan is to take over the world. So they've got an agenda. They're not just wanting to exist in our country. They're wanting to take it over.
Oh no,
They're
it's
wanting-
everywhere. It's not about just existing. It's not about asylum or whatever. It's they're here with purpose, just like the rest of it.
This whole thing, there needs to be something that comes up and says, if y'all want to practice Sharia law inside your community, that's fine. But if you break the law, you're not going to be tried in your community. You're going to be tried under the laws of the United States of America.
Yeah, but see, they'll never do that, because then they're going to claim it's violating this, violating that, and so on and so on.
Well, even if they try and practice Sharia law within their own homes, you're actually violating a number of different U.S. laws. So
Yep.
But in essence, those laws wouldn't be able to hold up in court because, yeah, that's their beliefs. But any religion that thinks that a man can of 50 years old can marry a 6-year-old is completely wrong. And
well, you're going all the way to the top of
around
it,
them, the public around them won't tolerate that for any extended period of time.
Well, let's look at some of the ones that have come here and they've gone ahead and raped children, and I didn't know the laws here. Bullshit.
well, ignorance of the law is no defense. So
No, but that's what they try to claim, though.
Yeah, you go ahead. If you want to make that statement, that's fine. It's not going to get you out of the punishment for your crime.
Well, I think you should know the laws before you are just walking around here. Personally,
Well, when
if you're going to be allowed to live here, you should have a freaking clue of what's considered typical or not typical. That's why there's a legal process that people go through, or part of the reason, I would assume.
Well, most of them that are breaking the law ain't here legally already anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so that's already a damn problem. And then, we have our own law. So just keep that shit wherever the hell, you came from. You're coming here because you want to enjoy America for whatever purpose or whatever it may be. So, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, as they say. It's the same here. So I don't know. It's not like a visit.
One thing to Paul's comment there, I would say that the way the politics is going in Britain is an issue, but I will say that people are waking up. Is it too late? No, I don't think it's too late, but they've got a lot of work to do in order to take back over. There's a lot of shit going down. There's millions upon millions of people that keep going out and trying to get their word heard, and it's going to eventually come to toe. When, I don't know. How bad it's going to be, I don't know, but it's going to come to toe at some point. No, there's still a lot of stuff you have to learn, Paul, if you want to. He didn't throw all of it out. There's still a lot of stuff, but they did change the test and they changed a bunch of other things, but you still have to learn quite a bit of it.
They just quit testing you to see if you learned it. I don't know. Scotsman, you know more about that than I do.
Yeah, no, it's they keep making changes to it, but I think I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go double check, but I do believe that Trump reversed some of the stuff that was put in place by previous administration when it comes to immigration and as far as the testing and all that.
Well, it's going to be the next thing will be coming. They're going to be telling you what you can and can't wear. So it's
You see that in some places already, but you know.
I know if any of them tell me that I have to wear Crocs, then they're going to have a battle on their hands in court because I am not going to wear Crocs.
Well, I think you would agree with me, Alan. If they tell us we can't wear a kilt, they're going to have a battle on their hands too.
Nope, you can wear a kilt. You just can't hike it up in public.
Oh, but a dude can walk into a woman's bathroom. Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank God there's no stand-up urinals in the female bathroom, but yet.
No, officer, that was not indecent exposure. That was an act of God. It's a windy day.
I was just checking the wind. Oh.
There's Uncle Jim. Good to see you, buddy.
I've never bought a pair of Crocs, so I don't know. That's
I've bought Crocs before. As gifts for other people. Never had a pair of them on my feet.
No,
never have, never will.
My daughter likes them. She wanted some for Christmas. That's what she got.
They started making Hispanic Crocs down in Florida. They find alligators and they hollow them out and spray them with polyurethane.
My landlord loves Crocs and wears them everywhere. And he comes to do some work on the house or whatever, and he starts complaining. I'm like, dude, how many fucking times I gotta tell you, stop wearing those and put some actual fucking shoes on your bloody feet, and you might be okay. Instead of coming over and start doing some work, and then you hurt yourself because you got fucking Crocs on your feet.
To me, they kind of symbol.
They're comfortable. Comfort ain't stopping the pain, is it?
To me, they kind of symbolize like the lazy culture to me. It's like, Crocs, sweatpants out at Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
Taking kids to school, all this shit. It's like, people got no goddamn pride anymore. I can see a place for Crocs if you're in healthcare or something like that, or you're out on the boat, or maybe even just sitting on the back deck or whatever. I'm not going to own a pair just because to me it's got a bad taste in my mouth from all the other people that do own a pair, because it's just, in a sense, it's kind of trashy. And I'm probably pissing people off, but that's just kind of how I feel.
I agree. It's 100% trashy.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'd be upset if my kid's mom looked like half these moms do while they're down there dropping kids off at school. Not that it's a beauty concert, but or pageant or something, but holy shit, half of them look like crackheads or junkies down there. Like,
that
really
sounds like
do.
Walmart. Sounds like Walmart.
Like, brush your teeth, put on some clean clothes. It's a new day.
Through your hair. Go
into
these
people don't care, man. Again, there's like
no self-respect, and if you talk shit about it, you're the bad guy. I'm okay. So I'm at Applebee's. It's not like a fancy flipping restaurant, but there's a woman and her 3 daughters. Every single one of them is on the phone. They're not talking to each other at all. Every single one of them are just like in their sweats and their pajamas and wearing Crocs. I'm like, Why would you go out to a sit-down restaurant and not bother to get yourself dressed?
There's like no standards, no values, no self-respect.
You can
Nothing.
blame all that on COVID. I mean,
Well,
it,
no, it's not just even COVID. It's just the natural norm now. Like Alan said, you go out to eat and everyone's playing on their phones instead of actually paying attention to each other. Me and Daniel talked about this for years, where the standard actual dinner table setting is not standard anymore. It's people are too busy playing on their phones and not actually having good conversation.
well, you can't. So I can't. Nobody can
Thorzak,
define
you
that.
got something wrong here. You got something wrong here. One, I don't dye my hair anymore. I'm gonna let it, fall out all by itself. And two, I don't wear bright red spandex shorts. I wear bright red spandex chaps, assless.
Oh, mental picture that's never going to go away.
Well, I didn't want anybody to leave the chat, without some PTSD.
You know, you see people in sweatpants. That doesn't. Sweatpants don't bother me, but you go into Walmart. They're in pajamas with little fuzzy bunny house shoes on.
Yeah,
And they don't even put used to a woman would go out because she ran out of something, but she put a raincoat or something on. But now they just go in there like that. And I'm like, what in the world? How do you do that? I mean, now that's when I said I blame that on COVID, because people started, they quit caring about
Yeah, I
personal.
gotta say, I was in Walmart the other day. I had to pick up some meds, and Walmart just happens to be my pharmacy. And there was a gal in there that she was wearing really, really small spandex shorts, but it didn't matter because she was wearing a men's dress shirt, and I was perfectly fine with what she was wearing.
Yeah, it's all good until you add another 400 pounds of that with the same size spandex pants that you can see through. Then are you perfectly fine with it?
Well, no, those
Then
women
it becomes
don't walk
indecent
around
exposure,
Walmart.
God damn it.
Those women don't walk around Walmart. They ride on the carts.
Right.
And those poor carts. I feel so bad for them carts. You can hear them struggling. Just,
Have you seen that video where it looks like about 10 black ladies go in Lululemon and start trying on spandex? They're twerking and dancing all in the aisles.
Oh God.
Spandex has
No,
become. I think
typical.
the definition of spandex should be cottage cheese thighs, because the people that wear them are all exceeding the weight limit.
All right, we need to change the subject. We're losing people like crazy.
I don't know. You sit
They
outside
all
the
understand
gym
that,
like,
man.
with binoculars like I do.
We've lost almost 10 people in the last 3 minutes.
That's probably the Croc thing, bro. Lots of people love Crocs.
Thing. It probably is. Damn Crocs.
Don't hate on Scotsman because I called it trashy. That's just my take.
Oh no, they are fucking trashy. I agree with you 100%.
Crocs. I don't know how we ended up on Crocs and spandex, but that's become the way.
Oh, it's possible that we just lost all our female viewership, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's a good possibility.
I got to be careful what I say.
No, you don't.
I have a natural ability to run women off, so.
You forget where you
It
are.
could have been me.
You can say whatever.
It I'm not an apologetic person about the way I feel about things. I spent a long time getting to this level of ignorance, and I'm happy with it. And when it gets to the point of what people are wearing out in public, I think it's time to speak up and say something. Somebody's got to tell them what you're doing is not right, and you're doing it in front of your
Yes.
kids, in front of other people's kids.
No.
Same with behavior. When the kids are out there at the restaurant, you're supposed to teach them how to behave before you get to the restaurant. Not yell and scream and ruin everybody's dinner with your kids bouncing off the tables, picking their nose, running around, touching everybody's shit. No, no. You're supposed to do that before you go to a restaurant. So say something.
So in my Dillon that I'm running 9mm in, I've got all Dillon dies, but today I ran into quite a few bulge dang Glock cases. What
Get rid of those
is the
guys.
best resizing die that will bust a bulge on a
No, no.
Glock
You need to
bulge?
buy a separate thing. It's called a bulge buster, and you have to run it through that before you can put it through the size and die.
You have to
No,
find
you
that used.
don't.
You have
No,
to
you
find
don't.
that buster used.
No, you don't. You throw that crap in the garbage because it's going to blow your gun up. Damn it, guys. Y'all know better.
Or you can do that too. I don't have that problem because I don't shoot Glocks, so I don't have that problem.
Well, if you're picking up brass off the range or if somebody's giving you brass, you got that
Right,
problem.
but I sort my brass. You know that.
I hear you, but it can be hard to see, especially when you're going through several hundred of them at one time. But I'm telling you, when it goes through the sizing die, you can see the smile on there. It's literally a smile. Throw that junk in the garbage or recycle it or whatever you got to do. Don't try to shoot that crap, guys.
Yeah, that's essentially I can begin to feel it when I'm pulling on the dang handle, and yeah, I get it from just picking up range brass, and I don't visually inspect every case. I know I should, um, but I don't. And I run through things through the wash, and I put it through my dryer, and um, I do some visual inspection at that time, but I definitely don't go through every damn case like I should. And so it just seemed like today I was running into quite a few of it and was just like, well, maybe there's just a really good resize and die that will take care of that at the same time I'm sizing. But I guess I should just do more legwork on it.
All right, here's the problem. You can take a piece of that brass. I wish I had one. But get yourself some kind of hook like this. And you only have to do this once. You only have to do it once. And all the rest of that crap is going to go in the garbage. But get yourself a hook like that. And if you see that Glock smile, put this on the inside of that case and feel it. What has actually happened is the brass is bulged and split on the inside. And you can put it through whatever you want to smooth it back out on the outside. The problem is it's still cut on the inside. And when it gets in that chamber, which is unsupported, it's going to blow out. You're going to have what they call a case head failure. And that crap is going to come back on your face. Your the body, the frame of your revolver is going to get bulged out like that, and the magazine is probably going to come out the bottom of the gun, and it's just not going to be a good day. You just don't want to do that. Trust me. Yeah.
Anything where you get crap on your face is not a good position.
When burning gunpowder comes back at your eyes, you'll understand why you always wear eye protection and ear protection.
We've shown it before. What happens if you have an eye protection on and potential things flying back at you? We've shown it before. Daniel had his dot fly off and smash his glasses and stuff. So we've shown it. Eyewear is more than important. Yeah, KB-32, his gun blew up. If he didn't have eyes on, he'd have had a lot of problems.
I just beg you guys that reload for semi-autos. If you run into that, and Uncle Jim, it's not necessarily Glock. It's any unsupported chamber. I tell you the truth, I think those Springfield XDs are about as bad as a Glock with that. And the newer
there's multiple that have the unsupported chamber. Glock's just the most popular one that everyone thinks of, but yeah, there's more than one.
And that's just because there's so many Glocks out there. But when you're pulling that handle and you feeling that brass go up into that sizing die, and you get to the bottom of it, you start getting toward the bottom of the piece of brass, and you feel it start getting harder to go in that sizing die. Stop and look at that piece. And when you pull it out, if it's got that little smile like that on it, throw that crap in the recycle bin.
Yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing now. It just it puts a kink in my progress. Then I got to stop and pull this one piece out and blah, blah. It's so maybe I just need to do a little bit better visual inspection before I load my hopper.
Never pass up any chance in the reloading process to inspect your brass, because no matter what, guys, I would hate for somebody to get hurt, lose a firearm or a hand or an eye, because it's impeding my progress, Alan. Please, buddy. I mean, slow down.
Oh, hey.
Take what you got. Be proud you got it, and don't lose a gun or a hand or an eye.
Even when you got to stop and pull a piece out, you can still keep a decent rhythm. You just got to find your rhythm. That's all.
Yeah, and like you said, Alan, I think it's a great idea to inspect it better, inspect it real good before. But like I said before, though, when you're just looking at a piece of brass, it doesn't really show up like it does after it's been through the sizing die. There's Mark Thomas.
Yeah, no, I'm always inspecting as I'm separating out calibers and all the rest of it. But there's always the potential you're gonna miss something.
And if you're a Glock shooter and you've got aftermarket barrels and those things, which a lot of guys do, especially guys that shoot cast lead bullets, they'd prefer to shoot a traditional rifled barrel than that Glock, whatever they call it, hexagonal, whatever. Anyway, that's my sermon for tonight. I didn't mean to beat y'all up with that, but
no, you're good, man. You're good.
I've just seen it happen, and I don't want that to happen to nobody.
No, anytime you're putting stress on it, you're gonna have problems. It's just why we always say, you always check your brass before you reload it, because the more times you reload it, the more stress you're putting on it.
There's a letter out there you can read that Glock actually wrote to Lee and told him, said, you need to stop selling this. Because Glock had a 9mm bulge buster, and they said you need to take that off the market. It's going to get somebody hurt. And they did. You can't buy it anymore. They have one, but it's for Makarov. It's not for 9mm Parabellum or Luger, whichever one you want to go by. I know I was looking.
We're getting close to that time. We'll start going to the room. We'll start with you, Bama Dad. What you got going on, man?
Just some reloading and doing some logistical work. Me and Jamie about getting together and going shooting. If you want to drive down from Ohio to Alabama and go to Talladega with us, you can.
Let me pencil that in. That's awesome, man. Good deal. I hope you guys have a good time. Get some good pictures and good video. Rob, what you got going on, man? What you got coming up this week? Anything?
Not a damn thing. Running around for work, getting permits, stuff that I should have been able to get last week, but for some reason people don't want to do their job, and instead of letting me start with like receipts and paid, already dealt with them, I got to wait for an actual paper to get mailed, and just being upset and whatnot. But if good with Jamie, he wasn't here with us for a couple weeks, so I'm hoping everything's all right with family, health, whatnot. Any problems, or you just busy?
I'm busy, man. My mother-in-law passed. And,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But
we had last couple of weeks we've been trying to get everything out of her house. She lived in a senior living community, so we had to vacate within 30 days. So that's always fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I'm just glad nothing's bad with health your way, or anything like that. So sorry to hear about that. But
I appreciate you asking, brother. I do.
No problem. Glad to have you back. That's all I got, Scotsman. Eat a salad. Don't be a pussy, and we'll catch you next week.
Always good having you, man. Appreciate you. Jamie, good having you back, man. What's been going on, brother?
Don't tell me what to do. I am what I eat, man.
All right, then.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Turns out all that time I was talking about that, I had a 40 right there. Anyway, yeah. Don't believe in bulge busters. Check us out Friday nights, 8 o'clock on Georgia Shooting Connection channel. And maybe we should talk about the quote unquote Glock smile. Anyway, do plan on going to shoot with Bama Dad and a couple other guys, Ricky Baird, maybe Kyle Lusk. Anyway, y'all might want to call and warn them. But thanks for having me, guys. Y'all have a great week.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you being here. And appreciate everyone up in the side chat. We had a lot of good conversation this week. We had a lot of good topics going on. And don't eat a salad, eat meat. And it's pretty simple. You either got a schlong or you don't. And we'll leave it at that. Alan, please take us out right, brother.
Yeah, it was a rough week for me this past week. A good buddy of mine, Jimmy, he was out on his honeymoon and got killed in a shark attack. And the only thing that was good about that is at least he didn't suffer. The man was only married for like 5 days. So, there's that. Other than that, I do want to remind everybody, thank you for coming in, being in the side chat, participating with us, and to keep them magazines loaded and one in the chamber. Woo!